Well, everybody, it seems, likes a Western, and the first half of the Odeon double bill next week is another Western. It's called Comanche. Comanche is the name of a warlike Indian tribe which really flourished in the early days of the American settlers' beginnings in California. They were a warlike and tough and savage tribe that did nothing but bring fear and pillage to the Americans trying to settle in. And Dana Andrews, he plays an American scout, you know, on Davy Crockett lines, who's helping the American army to put down the lawless tribes. Well, he also wants to bring peace to the community and does his best to let them smoke the pipe of peace. But unfortunately, the Comanches, led by a tough Indian called Flatmouth, captures a beautiful Mexican girl. She's played by a newcomer called Lynda Krystal. And Dana Andrews leads the Americans against the Comanches to bring her back. That's the kind of basis of this Western. It's jolly good, fast-moving stuff. You know, it doesn't ask much of you except to sit back and enjoy it. It's called Comanche. It stars Dana Andrews, and it's on at your Odeon next week. Well, the other half of our double bill, that you see on the Odeons next week, is a crime thriller from Hollywood. It's called The Killer is Loose. I always like these Hollywood crime stories. They do them so much better. They have realism and authenticity, and this one is no different. It gives us Joseph Cotton as a detective who sends Wendell Corey to prison. Now, Corey, vowing vengeance, escapes, and as a revenge upon Joseph Cotton, he decides to kill Cotton's wife, played by Rhonda Fleming. And here we see how the police try to keep this girl undercover so that the mad killer won't reach her. It's very authentic, very fast-moving, and very thrilling with some lovely twists, and I think gives Cotton his best part since Shadow of a Doubt. Wendell Corey, as a killer, is also rather hair-raising. Very fine and good documentary police chase stuff. The Killer is Loose. It's the other half of the Odeon bill. So let's finish off this afternoon. I shall be back next week, by the way. Let's finish off with a little scene of this current release feature with The Killer is Loose. Well, the other half of this double bill is another RKO radio picture. It's called Great Day in the Morning. It's a kind of a Western. It's set on the borders of the northern and southern states of America just before the outbreak of the American Civil War. We meet Robert Stack. He's a southerner who goes into the northern city of Denver, ostensibly to open a gambling saloon. But he's despised by the southerners who live in Denver because they feel he doesn't support their cause, and he's equally despised by the northerners simply because he comes from the south. But you'll find out in Great Day in the Morning just what Robert Stack is doing in Denver. By the way, he's helped in his particular aim by Ruth Roman, who plays the good-hearted saloon keeper's girl. It's a little involved if you don't know about the American Civil War. You know, the North versus the South, but I think you'll like it. It's a good Western. It's called Great Day in the Morning, Robert Stack and Ruth Roman. Well, here we are again with another batch of films. Rather more than usual this week because there are two double bills. The first one is at your Gaumont, and I'd just like to set the scene for the first picture of the double bill. It's called While the City Sleeps. It's an RKO radio picture directed by one of my favorite directors, Fritz Lang, and it's a thriller. It concerns the search for a murderer called the Lipstick Murderer, who is a sex maniac who kills girls and then signs Lipstick Murderer above their bodies. Rather horrific, but it's not so horrific as all that. And the picture really shows you how these three different rivals try to find out the identity of the murderer. The first is Dana Andrews, who plays a newspaper man. There's George Sanders, the head of a news service, and Howard Duff, who's a member of the New York Police. Well, you just watch them with great interest while they try to find out who is the actual murderer. Can't tell you much more about it than that. Let's just see a scene from While the City Sleeps. You know, a couple of years ago they were saying that James Cagney was finished. The Hollywood columnist had written him off. And I, as an old Jimmy Cagney fan from way back, I felt a little sorry about the whole thing. However, the most magnificent comeback ever staged in Hollywood has in fact been staged by Cagney. As you know, he played a tiny part in the Bob Hope film, The Seven Little Foys, and was quite brilliant. And then MGM gave him the part of the Gimp, opposite Doris Day in Love Me or Leave Me, and, well, you know what happened. He was unbelievably good. And as a result, MGM have rewarded him by giving him the star part in Tribute to a Bad Man. Well, that's a Western, really. It's all about a rancher, a tough rancher living in pioneer USA, who takes what he wants and lives his own kind of life. To everybody around him, he's a bad man, except to the girl that he's taken into his house and befriended. She's played by a girl from Athens, an actress from Greece. She's called Irene Papas. Yes, that's her name. She's very good, very beautiful, a little like Ava Gardner to look at, and I think she's going to be a big star. But she really doesn't stand a chance in Tribute to a Bad Man, nor do anybody else in the film, because Cagney, well, he's quite incredible. He's got the personality that comes out of the screen and hits you right between the eyes. Nobody has a chance when he's around, and he's quite magnificent in Tribute to a Bad Man. It's worth seeing for him alone. It's the ABC release next week, and it shows that Cagney really has, at 52, he really has what it takes. Just take a look at it, shall we?